All right, we're back. This is Galen Cranston. This is my part two of my video series. I think if you haven't watched part one, you're missing out on a couple cool spots, and you should probably go back and watch that first. But without wasting too much time, let's jump right back into the action with hand in the top right. All right, so I played a pretty cool pot, I think, in the top left here, or sorry, top right. Just quickly, I want to say that to me this is always defend and never a squeeze. I don't quite know when it happened, but it seems like the default move of a lot of players is to just be super laggy and squeeze in these spots. And I think your hand is just way too weak, as you're going to be dominated up against a lot of 10 Jack Queen X. Like no matter what his X is, he's just got us in a waffle press, and that's all sorts of bad. Not a lot of good can come from it. I'd much prefer three-betting this up against, say, much more prefer three-betting a button open than a cutoff open, but I'd rather be in a heads-up spot playing my hand only against one opponent. If I had double suit, you can make a lot more case for three-betting this, or the 6 was a 7 or a jack. Again, much better case for three-betting, as my hand plays much better and I have much more options. But with only one suit and relatively bad position to everyone on the table, well, not relatively, I have bad position to everyone on the table, I think my only bet here is to call and see what the flop brings. So we have to do that in a moment. Just quickly, not to get into too many reads, but I think this guy is a reg, and I don't think he's going to just randomly spaff the money in really foolish spots. And he's got a picture of a girl, so that means I don't know, it means something. I haven't quite figured out the avatar reads quite yet. But anyways, so I check, and in a moment I'm going to check. I check, it checks to Renan, and he bets out close to pot. I think check raising is disastrous with no flush draw and only a gut shot and 10-9 as my pair, so we won't even consider that. But I think my hand is too strong to fold, as I can turn a 7, I can turn a 9, a 10, an 8, Having the 6 blocker, I'd be a lot more comfortable with 9-8 than not having the 6 blocker. And I think his betting range here can be pretty wide. Like, having two people check to you, he's going to stab here pretty frequently. I think his range is going to be a lot of flush draws. There aren't too many 2 pairs he can have here other than 4-5. I think for him to have 9-5, he'd have to have exactly 9-8, 7-5. Or 9-8-6-5. So I think he's more likely to be weighted towards hands that aren't quite complete yet, but aren't going to fold. And since we already established we're not going to raise, there's nothing to be gained from doing that. I think my only option here is to call. And you know what? If I call and Cinnavallis check raises and blows us out of the pot, well, that's just too bad. I've played my hand as well as I can up to this point. Oh, yeah, and I didn't even mention it, but I'm sitting deep with Renan, so what else is there to do other than check call? Yeah, sorry, we got interrupted by a phone call. Quick little life tip there. Like, I have a girlfriend, so this doesn't matter to me, but if you want a lot of random girls calling you out of the blue, when you have a nice apartment and are moving out, tell your landlord that you don't mind showing it yourself. But anyways, there's my creepy tip of the day. But we come to the turn with Renan. And this is a spot I think a lot of people misplay their hand and end up getting stacked for pretty stupid plays. Some people opt to go for a lead, and I think that's dumb because sitting this deep, like I said, since I don't expect him to just spoon the money in a stupid spot, if he raises me, he's going to be doing that with full houses or better 9s. Like, I don't think he's going to raise me with a bare 9 when I lead, but I don't think he's going to fold. Well, I know he's not going to fold. The only hands I get him to fold by leading are hands that I have crushed anyways, and I may or may not get him to call with any sort of flush draw outs. And what happens if I lead and he calls and the turn river bricks? Like, what do? Do I bet then and then try and get him to fold ace-9 conceivably, or hope for a hero call from kings or aces? Like, I think my only option here, having check called the flop, is to now check call the turn. It keeps in all of his bluff hands, and it allows him to fire again if he does have a flush draw. It allows him to try and push me out of the pot, and he can then put money in with hands that I have crushed, and I control the pot a lot more, having a whole bunch of nut full house outs.